I'd like to get subcommittee number 1 started. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. If we could get a check-in for who's here, it'd be great. See if we got quorum. Okay, looks like we have 6.
Quorum is present.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. So on our docket today, I'd like to get started with Senator Barker's bill, SB 1343. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. Thank you for hearing this bill early in the morning here on Valentine's Day. So this is a rather straightforward bill. It's a Section 1 bill. And what it does is it states that the Department of Motor Vehicles shall create a process and guidelines by which minors who have driver's licenses can access their own driving records on the website. It's pretty straightforward in terms of what needs to be done, and the DMV has indicated that the processes and guidelines to verify the requester's identity can be established rather easily, and that there's no fiscal impact. They say they can do it with existing resources.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the patron?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Please go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out the necessity for 16 or 17-year-old to be able to get their driver's record online. I mean, what brought this bill forward? I never really heard of that issue.
What brought this bill forward was that there was a group of high school students in my district that thought this was something, they should have access to their driving records just like their parents and older siblings have it now. So there was no outside influence on it. So it was just those students who brought the bill to me and requested that I put it in. So.
Okay. Any other questions for the patron? Let's open it up to the audience. Anybody in the audience who wants to speak to the matter? You now have a time to come to the podium. Do we know anybody virtual? Nobody virtual?
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I do have some questions for DMV on this, just the issues that I think might happen. I just want to make sure we're not creating
Commissioner
issues
Ford
on this.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Mr. Chairman. Linda Ford, Acting DMV Commissioner.
I think we've had this discussion among some of us that creating a website for minors versus an 18-year-old or above, is that going to create a new set of requirements or something for your website? I'm just trying to figure out how this would work.
Well, it would require programming to make that change. And I will say we would have to lock it down. It wouldn't be like a normal MyDMV account, online account, because we need to not allow minors to have access to certain online transactions that adults can have right now. For example, just ordering a duplicate driver's license or a replacement driver's license, because parents sometimes will take the license away from them, and we don't want to bypass that process. So we would have to do that.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? The committee moves by motions.
Second.
Motion report in a second. Please go to the voter board. Okay, all had a chance to vote. Bill reports 4-3.
Thank
Thank you, Senator. Have a good day. Okay, next up, based on the senators that are showing up in order, if it's okay, we're going to move forward with Senator Ruff, SB 938. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 938 is here because of the concerns of citizens in our region about accidents, near accidents, and in Buckingham County last year, multiple deaths. Horse-drawn carts and wagons on curvy roads are a problem, and this is trying to get at it. They're particularly dangerous around dusk time And when you're on a curve and you don't see anything, and then all of a sudden you're on top of a vehicle. What it would do would require every horse-drawn vehicle to have a battery light visible for 500 feet or reflectors attaching to any such vehicle. There is a line amendment that strikes on line 16, I think, the word front end, because currently there seemed to be some conflict that having that term in there may take some safety out from the front.
Okay, so to be clear, you're going to keep that line amendment in terms of I think they were the reflectors in the front, correct? There was confusion on that.
Yes. The current law is that there has to be front and rear from 500 feet. You have to have something.
Okay.
So we need to move the line amendment? Mr.
Yes.
Chairman?
Please, I need
Move the line amendment?
a motion to move the line amendment. I need a second. Second. We have a second. All those in favor of moving the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now
And
the
that
bill's
is
in
the
proper
bill.
form. Thank you, sir. Any questions for the patron? All right. Do we have anybody in the audience who wants to speak to the matter? Anybody online? We don't have anybody online.
Move to report.
We have a motion to report. We have a motion and a second. Let's go to the voter board. With the amendment? With the amendment. So moved. Okay, so the bill reports out 7-0. Thank you,
y'all.
sir. Okay, next up, Senator Hanger, SB 1058. You're in the spotlight. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Morning.
Good to see you on this bright morning. This bill that I have in front of you this morning was from a contact from a constituent. Sometimes I get contacts from constituents that would ruin my day if I really paid attention to it, but what they thought about me. But this one was a great suggestion, I thought, dealing with dash cams. Current law in Virginia is if you're really not allowed to have anything up there, and I expect a lot of people are already violating this. The suggestion was that we authorize the mounting of a dash cam behind the rearview mirror. And we ran that up a flagpole with the state police. They thought, the ones that I talked to thought it was a good idea, and they tightened it up a bit to make sure we weren't doing something that would obscure vision, and that's basically the bill. It will allow the placement of these very small dash cams behind the rearview mirror, not in a way that would get in the way of your vision. So that is what the bill does.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Any questions for the patron?
Question for state police.
Yes, sir. Morning, Major.
Mr. Chairman, Ron Maxey, State Police.
Morning.
Yeah, question. So I'm assuming that I will be getting a bulletin, whatever number, allowing me to pass a car with one of these after July 1, if this passes.
Mr. Chairman, Delegate blocks them. Yes, sir, we're already working on that bulletin.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, anybody else? Any questions in the audience?
Move to report.
A motion report in a second. We go to the voter board. There we go. Report's out 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Senator.
members of the committee.
Have a great day. Okay, next on the in line, Senator Spruill. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I had to ask the senator, I said, who's this guy up there? I never met you before.
Beg pardon?
I asked the chairman, Hanger, I said, who's this guy up there? Come on, you. Never met you before. He said, you're a nice guy. So.
Yeah, I just came down here to be a chairman of a position. I'm here. Great to have you here. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. The capital, Mr. Chairman, this bill, what's my bill number?
You're in SB 855.
Yes,
is
sir.
the way I'm
Thank you
looking
so
at
much.
it. Okay.
It stated, Mr. Chairman, by the Transportation Board found that 88% of drivers dislike driving towards blue headlights. Moreover, the study suggests that many drivers contribute the glare from the blue lights to the rising of accident at nighttime. A blue light become more common, it seems likely that many people will experience discomfort and a blindness glare when driving at night. Without innovation, this car upgrades on most of these cars is causing problems. One of the main problems, Mr. Chairman, is that on the hazard lights, that what they've been doing, they put the blue lights on hazard lights and they drive behind you, and they put the hazard lights on to keep blinking off and on, and they think it's a police car. There's not. So what happened was the state police, on my substitute, there's a substitute, I believe, that you have. You have to move the substitute?
Counsel? I think we did have a substitute that it was all together. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, the substitute was adopted in the Senate, and so the engrossed bill is what you have before you that incorporates those changes.
So what all I was trying to do, Mr. Chairman, is trying to figure out a way how I can get those blue lights. They come all kind of bright blue, dark blue. I'm just trying to fix it. And the state police and the substitute, they made a substitute to insert that such prohibition should not be construed to prohibit the install and use of headlights without the approval from the superintendent. So if you can fix it, I was trying to get rid of it all together. And I was talking to the chairman that you may have another amendment on it to fix it. But for anything you can do to help the citizen to not to see blind lights or to make someone think it's a police car, I would accept anything that you have.
Okay. Certainly like the intent. Before I get to you, Delegate Bloxham, let me ask a quick question. So was our understanding, in the code, it already has, it says any colored light other than white is not acceptable. Does that sound correct, counsel? Or is that the way it's read?
So right now, yes, the code has to allow for use of certain lights other than white, and then it does have these specific requirements for headlights that are they have to be of a type approved by the superintendent of state police. The code is silent on the type of color of light there, but there are provisions elsewhere in the code that prohibit use of lights not otherwise authorized by code.
Okay. So Delegate Bloxham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the way I'm reading this is going to become a primary offense that state police could stop a car with illegal headlights.
Mr. Chairman, I think they are here to answer that.
Okay. I've got two questions for state police. So.
Before we go, yeah, come on up, Major. Not you? Yeah, okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
That's fine.
Kevin Bodkin with State Police.
So my question is, would this become a primary offense? So the car could be stopped using illegal headlights now?
According to the way it's written, yes, sir, it would be a primary.
Okay, good. And these lights are illegal as far as inspection goes anyway?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Anderson, do you have a question?
Yeah, for State Police.
Please.
So the State Police will be able to pull over a vehicle with dazzling lights on it, but it won't be able to pull over a vehicle without lights on it. Is that right? I mean, you can have, if there's only one headlight out, you can't pull them over.
Currently, yes,
Currently.
sir.
But if there's dazzling lights on it, you can.
My understanding is according to the way it's written, yes, sir.
Huh, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for State Police? We're good there? Okay. Any other questions for the patron before we open it up to the audience?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I believe the chairman said that the state police had an amendment. Would I accept? I told him yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I think originally we were looking at the original bill that we had issues with, but your amendments in the Senate corrected any concerns we had about it being in conflict with the state inspection manual.
Okay,
so it's good right now.
Okay, so it's in proper form. Anybody in the audience? Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. David Westcott on behalf of the City of Chesapeake. This is a bill that Chesapeake Police Department supports.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Move to report.
Motion report in a second. Those in front of us for vote, please. Okay, bill reports out 7-0. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was told that Senate Bill 1063 is for the full committee, the same as House Bill 2247 by Condosa. It was an administration bill. It passed the House and it passed the Senate.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Yes, I don't have to be here, I was told.
No, sir.
Okay,
You do
thank
not?
sir.
Correct.
Thank you.
Senator Deeds. SB 1293. Good morning, sir.
Morning. 1293, let me give you a little history. This isn't a new concept for you. In 2021, you passed a bill with bipartisan support, a bicycle safety bill, bicycle safety law. The one provision in the bill that was going to sink it in the Senate was one that would allow bicycles to treat stop signs as basically yield signs, as a place where a bicycle rider made judgment whether they could go through. I took that out of the Senate bill. We got the bill passed, but I put an enactment and clause on the bill to require the state police to convene a work group to take a look at the issue. And I've taken some time to try to understand what's going on here. 9 states have adopted this. 9 states plus the District of Columbia have adopted this bill or an approach like this. The only one on the East Coast besides Washington, D.C. is Delaware. Colorado took the approach. They're the most recent state to adopt a bill like this, and they've taken the approach. I kind of adopted their approach. You allow localities to try this. My concern, growing up in rural areas and hanging around in gas stations with pulpwood truck drivers, is there's a lot of frustration about bicycles on rural roads. A lot of frustration and a lot of tension between particularly truck drivers and bikes. And I was concerned that if you allowed bikes to live by one set of rules and vehicles to live by another set of rules, that might create more tension. What this approach is to allow localities, give them the authority to adopt an ordinance to allow bikes to proceed through an intersection without stopping, provided they slow to a reasonable speed and yield the right of way, and also to permit bikes to proceed through a red light after stopping and determining that it's safe. This is, as I said, this approach is the one that was adopted by California or Colorado. Eight other states have adopted this statewide, plus the District of Columbia. It was part of the bill you all passed with bipartisan support in 2021.
Okay. Thanks, Senator. Questions for this patron? If not, please, Delegate Anderson.
Senator Deeds, so it gives the localities the authority.
Right.
So let's say Virginia Beach says, okay, we're going to take advantage of this. So a bicyclist could come up to a four-way stoplight. It's a red light. He yields, looks both ways, and can continue through that light, right?
Right. There's nothing about this bill that would change the rules with respect to right-of-way. If he makes a bad judgment, he's still going to be at fault.
Sure. But does not he currently have to stop at that stoplight right now?
Bicycles right now have to obey the traffic laws just as cars and trucks, motor vehicles.
So wouldn't this possibly then lead to the opportunity for people to make bad decisions, which would cause more accidents?
That's certainly an argument, but the evidence in the states that have passed this is that the bicycles are generally traveled, they're safer, because you're still leaving it to a person's judgment. Now, a lot of people that ride bikes just tell me that the momentum makes it very difficult to come to a stop, and actually more dangerous in some situations to come to a stop. But from my perspective, I mean, I still thought a statewide bill would probably be a difficult pill to swallow, and particularly for some rural areas. I thought that perhaps the Colorado approach would allow us to let our localities be laboratories, see if it would work.
Okay. Any other questions for the patron?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I guess to the patron, this would be the third set of rules. Instead of being a pedestrian or a car, you're going to have a set of bike rules. I'm assuming that's the way I'm reading this.
I think that's correct. Yes, sir. You voted for it in 2021.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure I did, but
Yeah,
that's.
you did.
I guess my question is, since we're breaking the Dillon rule here,
No, we're not breaking it. We've got the right, we've got the authority to give localities.
to the ability to break the Dillon rule.
Well, there are exceptions to the Dillon rule every single day.
Right. So, but I guess my question is, the rest of the study from Delaware that said it was safer, did it mention fatalities that you know of?
I can't speak to the experiences. The only study that I've really read is the one that the state police produced, and one from the National Transportation Safety, and the outfit in Charlottesville, and all those are good results. The bicycles in general are safer, but I'm not going to hold out any. There probably have been accidents in some places. In general, the experience has been good. There probably other people. There may be other people here who can speak to it.
Okay.
Delegate Anderson, you have another question? Okay. I'm going to open this up to the audience now. Anybody wants to speak to this bill? Come one, come all.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Morning.
Brantley Tyndall, Virginia Bicycling Federation. I'd like to answer some of the questions. The question about the 5-year study in Delaware, it showed a few different statistics. One is that crashes at stop signs for bicyclists were reduced over a 5-year period by 23%. That was the Delaware State Police study. They did find an increase in that 5-year period of fatalities for bicyclists, but when we were doing this bill 2 years ago, Delaware State Police said that they were not related to stop sign crashes. They were more rear-end crashes in the normal roadway. I don't have that statistic right in front of me right now, but that was the conclusion that we had 2 years ago. The other question about red lights and bicycles, this would not allow, even where enacted, would not allow bicyclists to roll through a red light. It would allow them to stop and treat a red light as a stop sign. But where enacted, the stop sign would allow bicyclists to treat that as a yield sign where appropriate and safe. So I just wanted to give that clarification, and we think it's a good safety bill and compromise. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Sarah Taylor with the City of Alexandria. This is something that we would like to do in our community. This is something that we believe is right for our community, that our cycling activists, that our police, our transportation department all support. To follow on what Brantley was saying about the data, not only is this a proven safety recommendation of the National Highway Safety Transportation Administration, but the data showed in Idaho, the year after they passed their law, 14.5% decrease in bicyclist injuries, and the Delaware showed 23% fewer bike crashes at those stop-signed intersections. So we think that the data shows that this is something that could be right in communities that want to implement it, and we are one of those communities. So we'd appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Wyatt Gordon, Virginia Conservation Network. I would just say if you're driving, the only thing more annoying when you see a cyclist come to not a complete stop is having them come to a complete stop in front of you, especially people who are biking who have the kind of fancy shoes, which is not me. I don't have Lycra. I just bike to and from the convenience store. I'm a lazy cyclist. But people who have those kind of fancy shoes that click in, when they have to click out of them and back into them to come to a full and complete stop in front of you and you're behind them, that's incredibly annoying. It's easy to just let them slow down, make good judgments themselves, because bikes are different from cars. You know, you can kind of sometimes achieve a speed close to what a car can, but you're just as vulnerable as a pedestrian. So this is just a great way to treat bikes like bikes, not like cars, not like people. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, coming back to any questions further from the page? Last word? No?
I think it's all been said.
Okay. Delegate Anderson?
I have a couple comments and then an motion when it's appropriate, but it says here in the bill that when approaching a stop sign, after slowing to a reasonable speed and yielding to the right-of-way to make a turn or proceed through the intersection without stopping. That's contradictory to one of the witnesses who said you have to stop. I think it's crazily dangerous, inherently dangerous to leave it up to the judgment of a bicyclist to decide if it's safe to go through an intersection. I just wouldn't want to encourage a bicyclist to say, yeah, you don't have to stop at the stop sign and I'm coming the other way, and maybe his judgment's off and I collide with them.
Can I respond?
I can't imagine how that could be safe. That's just my comment. I'm not trying to argue with you, Senator Dees. I just don't see how we're leaving it to somebody else to decide if a traffic device is the appropriate thing for them to do. And that's just my comment.
What the bill says, you come to a stop at a light, and then you proceed but you can a stop sign is treated basically as a yield sign for bikes, and in these other 9 states in the District of Columbia, that's the way it works. But a red light, you have to stop and then proceed if it's clear. You treat a light and a sign a little bit differently.
That's correct. You're right. It does say that, but it's the same concept.
Thank you. All right. We've pretty much addressed that issue. Any other conversation, or committee acts by motion?
Move to report.
We have a motion report and a second. Please go to the voter board. Okay, the bill fails to report 2-5. Thank you, sir.
It fails to report.
That's what I said. Then we're good. Okay. Okay. Last on our docket today is Senator Obenshain, SB 1238. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This bill is, I think, a technical fix. As you may recall, in the last couple of years, we amended 46.2472, which dealt with the minimum insurance limits that automobile owners are required to carry. It raised from $25,000 to $30,000, and then goes to $50,000. I was the patron of the original PTNC statute, and when we passed that, instead of simply referencing 46.2472, we put in $25,000 as the minimum limits that these PTNC vehicles were required to carry. And so when the limits went up last year, the limits for PTNCs stayed at $25,000. So unless we make this change and simply reference the statutory minimum, PTNCs will be operating under a law that will eventually require them to carry half the coverage that you and I are required to carry. So this, I think, addresses a assumption that we made in drafting that $25,000 was going to remain constant forever, and obviously it has not.
Okay, any questions for the patron? Okay, if not, anybody in the audience wants to speak to it? Any votes? Okay, we have a motion, report, and a second. Please go to the voter board. Okay, the bill reports out 7-0. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Any other business in front of this committee today? If not, the committee shall rise. Thank you.